Why did Alexander Skarsgård enjoy playing the main villain so much? How did Henry Zaga prepare to portray a deaf man? Which actress was lucky enough to perform a whole new scene that Stephen King wrote specifically for the show? And, most importantly, what is similar between the events of the show and today's pandemic? Hi, I'm Alex, let's go. Whoopi Goldberg is Mother Abigail. We want to start our video with the legendary actress that we absolutely adore. Yes, in the world where 99% of people have died because of a horrible virus, Whoopi Goldberg plays the spiritual leader who tries to unite all of those who survived.
And I'm 109, which is just a year or two older than what I actually am.
Aw, come on, you look awesome. Goldberg explained what helped her to approach the character, who's almost a half a century older than she is. Mother Abigail recognizes that change comes all of the time. It's a constant. It's the one thing that you always know is going to be there. So for Whoopi, it was not so much about her character's age, even though she is 108, but more about the acceptance of time and changes. According to her talk with Jimmy Fallon, Whoopi has dreamt about being part of Stephen King's world since the first of The Stand adaptation in 1994. Though back in those days, Goldberg was in the middle of another movie and just couldn't do The Stand. But when she heard there was going to be a CBS remake, she said,
"Can I be in it, please? Please?" And they were like, "Yeah, actually, we were coming to you."
Sounds like it's all about the right timing, because back in 1994, even if she wasn't busy doing another movie, Goldberg wouldn't have been able to get the part of Mother Abigail. You know, she was 39 then, and no matter how much makeup they may have put on her, it just wouldn't have worked. Now let's move to the actor who portrays the very opposite character to Mother Abigail, Alexander Skarsgård as Randall Flagg. It's not the first time this man has played an abusive and insanely dark villain, right? Though in the case of Randall Flagg, there's something pretty new and challenging there, because he's a character who appears not only in The Stand, but in many, many other masterpieces written by the horror genius Stephen King. And how then did Skarsgård manage to approach such a complicated role? According to him, the showrunner Josh Boone helped him a lot there. How exactly? Well, he's read all of Stephen King's books, and there are more than 60 of those, and Josh has read each one at least 10 times. No kidding. So when Alexander Skarsgård felt like he was at a dead end working on his role, he would go to Boone to talk about Randall Flagg.
He'll give me like, oh, read this chapter from this book, or like this, they mention Randall Flagg or the Dark Man here, and it'll give you some insight to his background or who the character is.
Sounds like he was super helpful indeed. And Skarsgård seemed to have a lot of fun playing Flagg. He called this character very dark, though he then added deliciously dark.
My life is so boring and plain and kind of nice, so it's like, I think I need to dip into that kind of that darkness when I'm on set.
Jeez, sounds like he truly enjoyed playing a psychopathic role. Should we be worried about that? Amber Heard as Nadine Cross. Nadine is a school teacher who was in a relationship with Flagg when she was an orphan child. So when she sees the dark man in the nightmare, Nadine already knows who the man is. Having that be represented as backstory in some way was the thing I cared most about, because in my mind, having her exist in this world could only be justified when taken into context that she has been groomed in a way from the time she was young, Heard told Variety. She said that she understands as a human being the path of her character. Flagg was a guardian figure in Nadine's youth, but as she got older, it became much more predatory and possessive. I can understand as a human being how moving from seeming to be a protection or almost a paternal figure, how enticing that would be if you were an orphan or otherwise vulnerable. It makes a lot of sense to her how that could confuse loyalty and ties to her character's own detriment later in life. Moving on to Henry Zaga as Nick Andros. Have you ever wondered how it feels to portray a deaf person while being a hearing actor? That's a tough job. In order to succeed, he worked really hard. For example, he communicated with an American Sign Language coach and with many deaf individuals, including those from children of deaf adults. Because, as an actor, Zaga felt a huge responsibility to be as respectful and sensitive as possible. Check out how deep the actor went in venting his backstory. In the story, after Nick was orphaned, there's a man, Rudy, who helped him a lot, and their relationship really touched Zaga as an actor. That's why he made a little notebook that was meant to be a gift that Rudy gave to his character, so he could still communicate with people who couldn't sign. Nice detail, right? The thing about Nick that drew me so much to this character was the infinite ability to do good, to forgive, to start over. That level of empathy is something we don't see very often. True story, man. Odessa Young as Franny Goldsmith. If you're a fan of Odessa and of Stephen King's book, then we have fantastic news for you. The horror master has written a whole new coda specifically for the series, yet we don't know much about what it will be about, except for a small hint from the actress. Her character, Franny, somehow has a different end than she did in the book, and that she will also have a chance to take her stand too. Not much to go on, but hey, at least she didn't spoil anything. I feel a great amount of pride in being able to be involved with this last episode, to be able to bring to life words that people have never heard before from Stephen King. She says, "We bet you do, Young." In her talk with Collider, the actress revealed her excitement about Stephen King having some psychic abilities. According to the actress, there were several things written by the horror master back in 1978 that were very similar to events today. For example, the symptoms of coronavirus in Captain Trips, which is the name of the virus in the show, they are pretty much alike. Another great example is the social uprising that's happening today, specifically with people ignoring restrictions and guidelines and social distancing. King described that exactly. There are these questions that have been posed in the last few months of our lives that he somehow predicted pretty accurately way back then, Young said. But no worries, folks. The main point where Stephen King got it way different is about the lethality of the two viruses. Captain Trips killed 99% of people in the world because, Stephen King's imagination is pretty dark. Moving on to Brad William Henke as Tom Cullen. Here's another example of an actor who took his role preparation very seriously. Admit it, it's not that easy to portray a mentally handicapped man, which Tom Cullen is. So in order to be able to be as realistic as possible, Henk did several things. For example, he watched a lot of videos of people who suffered a head injury and were just never quite the same afterwards. Henk also dived pretty deep into the source novel, and there he found lots of great tiny details for his character development, like his wardrobe and toys that Tom had. And he also listened to one particular song a lot, Dolly Parton's Coat of Many Colors. Why? He did this to help him find his character's voice. Here's how the actor himself explained it. "I learned that people with a head injury, a lot of times, they learn to sing. That helps them learn to talk again. So when I was working on my voice, I would sing Coat of Many Colors, and then I would say, 'Hi, my name is Tom Cullen.'" What a great way to work on his character, right? Greg Kinnear as Glenn Bateman. Did you know that Glenn is Stephen King's favorite character from The Stand? Well, now you know. And more than that, the horror master even hid his own voice in the character. According to the actor, Glenn is the character who is many moves further on the chessboard than most of society, but he still decides to team up with Stu and follow what Mother Abigail is saying in his dreams because it's like a thesis paper for him to see which way humanity's intrinsically good and evil qualities are going to wrap up for these people. And a true philosopher, which Glenn is definitely enjoying the ride, and so is the actor himself.
As an actor, to play a guy who actually studies human behavior, it's kind of a gift,
Jovan Adepo as Larry Underwood. Yes, Larry was written as a white character in the book. That's why fans of The Stand got confused when they heard that Jovan Adepo was cast. But there's a reason for that. He's a musician, and his music made him sound black, as was mentioned in the novel, which is a nice move, isn't it? Because it saves the spirit of the character, which is the most important thing.
Wanted to represent him in the best way I felt I could because Larry's black in this world. so that's his rock and roll, "Baby Can You Dig Your Man" has got to be how I feel.
Jovan Adepo went deeper, discovering who his character is, saying that if Larry was able to step outside of himself once in a while, there are a lot of things that could have gone differently, like his music career. Maybe he could have been a famous singer, or maybe he would have had lasting relationships with women if he were more willing to be open and sincere and vulnerable. At his core, I think he's a sweet person. I just don't think he knows that. Makes sense. And finally, let's talk about the leading actor, James Marsden as Stu Redman. Small-town East Texas guy who couldn't afford the big dreams that he might have wanted. This is how the actor described his character. According to Marsden, that is his favorite type of hero to play. Why? Because Stu's not necessarily trying to be heroic. He's just someone with a very rigid sense of morals and values. That, according to Marsden, he got from living in a small town.
A guy who tries to do the right thing even when no one's looking.
And that is what Marsden really appreciates about people and fictional characters. As some of you know, the filming of CBS's The Stand was just before the lockdown happened. The crew was very well aware of the coronavirus starting to spread all over the world, which of course influenced their filming process. How? There are scenes in the beginning of The Stand where as soon as you see someone who looks normal sneeze or cough into their arm, everyone's eyes in the room dart towards them. Wow, it seems like the whole situation around the pandemic kind of helped all of the actors to get into their characters better. Did you guys read the book? Do you think the casting was done right? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching the video, and as always, stay awesome.